Africa. So there are three things I'm going to speak about today with this live. So I'm going to speak about the great need for VAR in African football. Number two, the punishment of bad behavior. Number three, CAF adhering to FIFA fair play rules. But before I get into those three topics, first I want to congratulate Imamelodi Sundowns for winning against, I think a team from Nigeria. They made the aggregate of 7 goals to 1. So congratulations, Imamelodi Sundowns. They are through to the group stages. That's number one. Number two, I want to congratulate Ikeza Chiefs with CAF Federations Cup. They also won by the aggregate of 3 goals to 1. They drew the first leg and then they won the second leg at home with 3 goals to 1. And and then Stellenbosch, again, the side from South Africa, they won also with an aggregate of 4 goals to 1. They drew the first game and then they came home and won with 4 goals to 1. So congratulations to all three teams in South Africa. They've outdone themselves, and that is good for South African football. Not only for South African football, but also for the national team, since all these teams contribute to the players that actually are selected to represent South Africa in the national team. So it's good for South Africa to have three teams in African competitions to actually gain experience and play game in a higher level than our Betway Premiership. So we believe that CAF Champions League is a standard that's a little bit higher because it's champions from across Africa that plays in that competition. And so do Confederations Cup with the second best teams from across Africa. So if we have teams that are playing in Confederations Cup, we believe that adds value to our national team. But also I want to say hard luck to Amapagania, Orlando Pirates. They were knocked out of the competition by Saint Eloy Lolopo from the side from DRC on penalties, which was a controversial game in my opinion, which maybe it's one of the things that led me to actually make this video right now. But hard luck to Orlando Pirates. You fought a good fight, but it wasn't to be. I hope that you guys gonna keep your head up and fight for another domestic competitions. What you did on Saturday, what the kind of football you displayed on Saturday was out of this world. Standards that the guys showed, it was out of this world. So we are proud of Orlando Pirates, though they were knocked out, but we still are proud of them as South Africans. Okay, to my topics. First, the need for VAR in CAF Champions League, not only in CAF Champions League, but also in Confederations Cup. Because there's this behavior in these African competitions that some teams are robbed. Some teams are discriminated against. Some teams gain favors over some teams through refereeing. So there's a great need in African football for EVAR to ensure that those who need to be punished are punished accordingly. And the goals that aren't supposed to be counted are not counted. I'm speaking after the fact that Orlando Pirates went to EDRC and play against Saint Eloy Lulopo. Apparently Pirates in DRC scored 3 goals, but they were all denied. But should we have a VAR, we would have been actually satisfied by the standards of refereeing, because the standards of refereeing also in Africa sometimes is very, very poor. So the great need for VAR is for the fact that the standards of referees sometimes can be very, very poor in some regions in Africa. So to actually preserve the game of football and grow the game of football, not only for certain teams in Africa, but for Africa entirely, we need to have a VAR so that we can help improve the standards of refereeing. So I'm not saying that the goals that were denied for Orlando Pirates in DRC were supposed to be given, but I'm saying should we have a VAR, everybody would have been satisfied if the correct judgment was given or issued as per those 3 goals were concerned. Not only that, the game they play also at Orlando on Saturday In my opinion, I think I saw two penalties that were not issued to Orlando Pirates. Two penalties were not issued to Orlando Pirates. Had we have a VAR, those penalties would have been given. Not only that, Tsepang Moremi received a red card, but should we had a VAR, that red card shouldn't have been given. And while on the red card on that game, the perpetrator was not given a red card, but a different player got red carded on that game. Had we have a VAR, a correct player would have been sent out on a red card. So those are the instances that make me plead that actually the African game urgently need VAR, and all the games that are played in CAF Champions League and also in CAF Confederations Cup, regardless if it's preliminary round or group stages, from the onset, they all need to be televised. It should be a must that those games are televised, number one. Number two, it should be a must that all those games have a VAR assistance. Because the standard of football sometimes is very, very poor. And the fact that some of these games are purposely played behind closed doors, it gives these guys a leeway to actually bully and sway the result into their way, in their favor or into their way. So we need to ensure that all the games of CAF Confederations Cup and also of the CAF Champions League are televised to ensure that there's fair play, and also there must be a VAR from the onset to actually decrease the standard of favoritism when it comes to refereeing. Because this thing of favoritism when it comes to refereeing in Africa actually kills the game of football in Africa. It kills the game of football in Africa. We might not see it now, but when we send our teams to World Cup, it's evident that our standard of football is low. Asia seems to be better than us in terms of competition, and also America, North America, and South America. But in terms of talent, they are not better than us, even Europe. But when it comes to competitions, we find ourselves lacking. Why? Because we are used to buy referees, to get favoritism, to do things unorthodoxy, to actually gain favor in terms of the results of the game. Those things need to stop. And FIFA fair play be adhered to ensure that the game is fair, it's played fairly, and whoever loses fairly, so that the standard of football can be helped grow. In my opinion, a team like Saint Eloi Lolopo shouldn't be allowed to continue to group stages. Looking at the way that they played, the bad behavior that they actually showed over the weekend, it actually brings shame to the African football. It brings shame to the African football, and African football will never be respected if the teams that are representing Africa in CAF Champions League show such a bad behavior in and outside the field of play. There's this thing of mistreating your opponents when they are coming to play at your home grounds in some of these countries in Africa. Those mistreatment should be punished. It's time that CAF be strict about ensuring that fair play is adhered to, regardless of the situation. From the onset, FIFA fair play should be adhered to. So it's time that CAF takes serious measures to actually address these issues. The same way they did against Bafana Bafana for fielding Tebo Mokwanya as an eligible player against Lesotho, they should have the same punishment also in a cup level to ensure that we adhere to FIFA fair play rules. We can't be proud and say we have 16 best teams in Africa that are playing in CAF Champions League, but we have the likes of Saint Eloi Lulopo. In my opinion, they should be X'd out of the competition. Not because they beat Orlando Pirates, no, because of the bad behavior they showed. The level of unprofessionalism is unmatched that they showed. So such behaviors should be punished and punished accordingly. Such teams should not be allowed to play in the CAF Champions League. CAF need to take these things seriously. Number one, they need to bring VAR on all the games of CAF. Number two, increase the standard of refereeing, punish all bad behaviors also to help the African football grow. We must adhere to FIFA fair play at all the times, at all costs. That's what I wanted to talk about today. That FIFA, CAF basically, need to change and up their socks. They need to instill these rules and ensure that they are enforced. But on top of all, we need a VAR to assist in refereeing because sometimes the standard of refereeing in African football is very, very poor. To avoid all kinds of favoritism also, all the games must be televised from the onset. From the onset, even if it's preliminary rounds, they should be televised for the world to see, because playing behind closed doors condone such behaviors. CAF need to change. We love the game of football. We love football of Africa. We enjoy it. It's how we make our content by this game of football that we love. But also the game has to be played fairly. And the standards of refereeing should be up to par. And also bad behavior should be punished accordingly. The standard or the rules, the standards, everything should be up to par to ensure that there's fair play and we grow the standard of football so that we can compete with the world. But if we continue with these kind of behaviors, we are far behind from the world and we will not catch up anytime soon. So FIFA needs to change. I wanted to say this on this live. I wanted to take just 15 minutes at least to actually speak about these things, that we need VAR. We need VAR. We need to adhere to FIFA fair play. We need to punish bad behavior and cannot condone bad behavior. And every game should be televised. There's no game that should be played behind closed doors, because that actually where the perpetrators of these bad behaviors thrive, behind closed doors, because there are no cameras. There's no evidence that is there to actually prove the unfairness behavior that some of these teams does. We can't have a team like Saint Eloy Lopo representing the 16 top African teams with that kind of behavior. Because if they are not stopped now, they're going to do it again on the next. Who's going to be their next victim? No, CAF need to up their socks, need to up the standard. So much so that it enforces everybody to adhere to the rules, and that will help elevate the game of Africa to the standard of the world. That's all I wanted to say. So thank you. I will see you on the next one. I don't know when. I love you. This is Nevertheless Commentaries. Please do subscribe. I'm out.